Coming up, Iowa Board of Regents makes a decision on education spending. And later, the International Writers Workshop returns for the first time since the pandemic.
Hawks prepare for a top-ranked battle in a hostile Happy Valley.
Cloudy skies as fall approaches.
All that and more coming up on this Friday morning edition of DITV News.
Don't go anywhere. DITV News starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for tuning in live to DITV and KRUI 89.7 FM.
I'm AJ Reister.
And I'm Ashley Wheel. The Iowa Board of Regents has scaled back education funding requests. This comes after their $32 million proposal was rejected by lawmakers. The proposal included to increase funding to keep education more affordable for college students all across Iowa. This would have seen more opportunities for competitive financial aid, low cost or free textbooks, and more programs to help with future career goals after college. The board believed by increasing funding, this would also increase admission rates for all Iowa universities. This increase in funding would in turn bring more Iowa residents in the future. And the mother of accused attempted murderer Ali Yunez was sentenced to prison today for aiding in her son's escape from the country. Daily Iowa News editor Alejandro Rojas has more in the newsroom.
Thanks, Ashley. On Thursday, the mother of former UI student and alleged attempted murderer Ali Yunez was sentenced to an indeterminate 5 years in prison for her role in the escape of Ali Yunez. In May, Lima Yunez helped her son escape the United States to avoid a criminal trial. Yunez boarded a plane to Jordan and is still missing. Shortly after his escape, Lima Yunez was arrested in Sioux County and then had a jury trial in early August. The trial lasted about 3 days, with the jury finding Lima Yunez guilty. At her sentencing Thursday, the Assistant Johnson County Attorney said Lima Yunez was a danger to the community. The judge, meanwhile, said that while he sympathized with her since he was also a parent, however, her actions had a tremendous impact on the community. Her husband, Alfred Yunez, pleaded guilty on September 11th and is scheduled to be sentenced on October 26th. Back to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Alejandro. And this past week, it's been cooling down a little bit better than kind of how we started the semester.
Yeah, Ashley, it's certainly been a nice change of pace since that 100-degree first week. But now let's go out to David Consuelos, who's live outside the journalism building with this weekend's forecast.
Hey, thanks guys. Well, it's not the perfect day outside this morning. It even started to rain a little bit, which I think is the perfect weather for me to do poorly on my exams today. I am live outside the journalism building where it is 65 degrees. Today will be a high of 77 degrees with the sun staying hidden behind the clouds all day. Tonight will drop down to 63 degrees with potential thunderstorms. Tomorrow looks to be a high of 83 degrees with the sun continuing to hide behind the clouds. Looking at the next week ahead, we are getting nothing but beautiful, not clear skies. We will start out the week by getting rain on Sunday with a high of 69 degrees, and the weekdays will keep the same trend of cloudy skies with the temperature being in the mid-70s. I'm going to get some studying in before we come back to me, so back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, David, and I wish you all the best luck with those exams. And Wednesday saw a sentencing of an Iowa City man. 65-year-old Yasir Elman Babakir Hamid. His house was raided by authorities after a tip. They found multiple devices that contained over 17,000 images of child pornography. Hamid was given a 132-month sentence in federal prison. He will not have a chance for parole and will have to pay $3,000 in fines. And today, the University of Iowa will be receiving a Hawk Alert. Students should not be worried, however, as the Hawk Alert will only be a test that will be sent out at noon. In an email sent to students, the university stated that this test alert is required by federal law. Hawk Alerts are usually sent to notify people on campus that there is an immediate threat or emergency. The university is asking students and employees to review and update their Hawk Alert settings before the test. Hawk Alert emails are required by the university, and they also recommend for students and employees to enable text messages for faster alerts. And on his second trip to the United States, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with President Joe Biden over aid for the Ukraine war. DITV Assistant News Director Johnny Veltman has more on President Zelensky's trip.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky came to Washington, D.C. yesterday, visiting President Joe Biden in the White House, seeing the Pentagon, and thanking the country last night.
But American investment in Ukrainian security and global protection of freedom is working.
The United States has sent over $75 billion of relief to Ukraine, but a new spending agenda for Congress has yet to be passed, which could lead to a government shutdown.
Speaker McCarthy has made it very clear he's not going to be for a blank check. And the discussion today was around what does Zelensky need in order to be able to win.
The White House gave Ukraine $325 million more yesterday in aid. With the House at a standstill over spending, neither side is able to see eye to eye.
Mr. Zelensky said, if we don't get the aid, we will lose the war. That's a quote from him.
There's a whole new concept of individuals that just want to burn the whole place down. It doesn't work.
If a new spending agenda is not passed by September 30th, the United States government will shut down the following day. From the University of Iowa, Johnny Veltman, DITV.
Thanks, Johnny. And the International Writers Workshop has begun for the first time since the pandemic. Hosted at the Shambaugh House, 34 writers from around the world have been invited to the university to share their work. Each Sunday, a reading is held at Prairie Lights here in Iowa City for writers to showcase their work to an audience of peers, students, and members of the community.
IWP is for me, something that I've been looking forward to, ever since I was a kid. And, after COVID, we could be here physically, so no more Zoom. We can actually touch people, spit at our audience. So I just enjoy being here physically, so it's great to be here.
The writers will be studying and working in Iowa City until November 4th. And yesterday, the University of Iowa announced the homecoming concert will star hip-hop artist Sway Lee, best known for his song Sunflower, which he produced with Post Malone and debuted in the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. The UI Homecoming Committee and Scope Productions are collaborating to bring him to campus. The concert will take place on the Pentecrest October 6th. The show is free for everyone. Now, we only got a couple weekends left before homecomings here at the University of Iowa. A couple more games before that as well.
Yeah, it starts this weekend when the Hawkeyes travel to Happy Valley to take on Penn State. Now, to get an in-depth preview, here's a snippet of the Daily Iowans pregame show before the kickoff on who to look out for in this weekend's matchup.
Split between three players, but let's start with wide receiver Seth Anderson. With a lot of offensive Hawkeyes ruled out of the game on Saturday, Anderson will have to have a great game if Iowa wants to pose a threat against the Nittany Lions. I think that Anderson adds a great deep threat to this Iowa offense, and while he hasn't gotten a ton of catches so far, I still think he's a big player that Penn State will have to key in on. Another Hawkeye that I want to highlight is center Logan Jones. Last week against Western Michigan, the Hawkeye offense line looked to be in sync and were firing on all cylinders. That only happens because of center Logan Jones. Jones is the captain of the offensive line, and he really dictates whether or not this ground game will be there for the Hawkeyes.
Now it's time to move on to the breakdown. Penn State is one of the best teams in the entire nation, and if you've watched them play, it's easy to see why. The Nittany Lions are currently number 7 in the nation. They're top 15 in both scoring offense and defense. They average about 44 points per game on offense. They only allow about 12 points per game on defense. This offense is being ran by a big-time prospect, Drew Aller, and so far, Drew has been living up to all of the hype. Aller has thrown for over 700 yards on the season, which is 4th in the Big Ten, along with 4 touchdowns and no picks. And I spoke to the Daily Collegian sports editor, Joel Haas, to help break down the Nittany Lions.
He was a 5-star recruit, very hyped coming into coming into college. I think through the first 2 weeks, he was like 75% completions. He's still yet to throw an interception. He's a great passer, got a really good deep ball, and he's just a big guy. He's like 6'5". I want to say he's around 230, so he's just a big dude.
You can check out the full episode on the Daily Iowan website. And speaking of football, Brian Ferentz has had a boost of confidence in achieving his infamous 25 points per game mark this season. In his first 2 games, he finished 3 points below the average that he needed, but a 41-point performance against Western Michigan proved them wrong, hitting the end zone 5 times. His average now sits at around 28 points per game as they look ahead to Penn State. And Hawkeye fans can now contribute to NIL activities for student athletes across all 22 athletic teams through the Swarm Collective. Donors giving a one-time of $1,000 or pledging at least $100 a month can direct their support to specific programs. The Swarm Collective, led by Brad Heinrichs, has started engagement with numerous nonprofits and completed over 1,200 student-athlete service hours in its first year. He says the effort builds support for Hawkeye athletics and allows athletes to develop their personal brands and benefit local charities. Visit the website below to support and learn more about the Swarm Collective. And the Iowa soccer squad hit the road yesterday to take on Big Ten rival Wisconsin. The Hawkeyes had plenty of opportunities to steal one away from home against the Badgers, but unfortunately came up just short, losing the match 1-0. The Lady Hawks have been very impressive this season, but last night was one to learn from. The Badgers outshot the Hawkeyes by 3 and also had 6 more fouls committed and still somehow came away with the win. The Hawkeyes will now shift their focus to Sunday as they welcome the Minnesota Golden Gophers for their Go Green for Mental Health game. And now on the volleyball court, Iowa hosted number 12 Minnesota last night to open up Big Ten play. It was a back-and-forth match with Minnesota winning the first set handily, 25-14. Then Iowa came back in the second to tie it up after a 25-20 set victory. Minnesota won the third 25-16, but in the fourth frame, an exciting and close 26-24 victory for the Hawks pushed a fifth set, where the Golden Gophers would go on to take the match in a commanding 15-6 final set win. Iowa's Caitlin Buechner led the team in kills with 17. Delaney McSweeney tallied 8 herself. Iowa drops to 8-5 on the season and will host number 21 Ohio State on Sunday. That game is set to begin at 3 p.m. on Big Ten+. And although the football game is one that we're all waiting to watch, there's a team here at Iowa that ranks number 1 in the nation, and that's field hockey. DITV sports reporter Vivian Simonsky has more on how the Hawkeyes are top dogs in the country and are on an 8-game winning streak.
The Iowa field hockey team is not only the number 1 team in the country, but they're on an 8-0 record. There are many athletes that contribute to this play, and they're incredible. But there's one player, sophomore goalie Mia Magnota, who has already outdone her competition this season.
I'm my biggest competitor. You know, I try to improve 1% every day. My teammates are my biggest motivator too. They push me, and I want to be, I want to be great for them.
Earlier last month, Magnota was named a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week and NFHCA Division I Defensive Player. But these titles are inspiring to her to work harder along with her teammates right by her side.
Vibes have been really fun. We lift each other up. We're having fun, but also like putting in the work that we need to put in. An honor. Those titles are, they feel cool. Like they're definitely like your hard work. It feels like your hard work pays off, but they're not everything. No matter what, like you still got to work hard, still put in the work, and there's a long road ahead, so season's definitely not over yet.
As the Big Ten play opens up this week, the Hawkeyes have their eyes on the prize as Mia Magnota is ready to defend her teammates and hopes to get a national championship this season. From Grant Field, Vivian Simonsky, DITV Sports.
Thanks, Vivian. The field hockey team has certainly been one to watch, and with the football team on the road this weekend, there are plenty of games that you can watch in Iowa City this weekend.
For sure, and while the Hawks aren't in Iowa City, we'll send it out to David for a quick weather update.
Hey, thanks guys. Tomorrow will be the first official day of fall, marked by the fall equinox. Tomorrow the day will be a nearly perfect 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of darkness, with the daytime getting shorter and the nighttime getting longer from then on. Personally, I love fall and all that it offers, so here's some of my favorite fall festivities. I love to cozy up by the fire, read a good book. You can combine the first two for a really perfect fall vibe, watch scary movies during the month of October, celebrate my birthday in the month of November, and tune in to DITV Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30. Well, that's enough about me, so I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, David. Thanks for the promotion. And thank you guys for tuning in to DITV News and listening to KRUI 89.7 FM.
Be sure to head over to thedailyiowa.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday.
For DITV News, I'm Ashley Wheel.
And I'm AJ Reister. Have a fantastic Friday.